At this time, I'll call the Town Hall meeting for Oak Island Town Council, public hearing and regular meeting, June the 11th, 2019. And we'll start the meeting with Councilman Blaylock giving the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, please bless us as we gather here today and allow us the wisdom to make the decisions that are best for our community and our environment. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Blaylock. Welcome, everyone. Looks like we got a full house tonight. We've got a lot of important work on the agenda to do, so we're going to move forward with the agenda at this time. And we'll start with public hearing number 1.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I could just announce, I had a number of people sign up on the general comments that appear to be for public hearings.
Okay.
So as we're going through the public hearings, if you wanted to speak on one and I don't call your name, please alert us somehow.
Is there anyone that came in late that would like to sign up for any of the public hearings or the public comment section? If you do, feel free right now before we get started. Okay, we don't have the rules up tonight either?
No.
Okay, there's a 3-minute limit. Please state your name and your address when you come to the podium, and there will be a little sound go off when your time is up. And thank you for being courteous to fellow. Yes, ma'am.
I want to speak about the purchase and in-purchase. She done signed up for the wrong one.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bigg. You got that, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
We signed up under the comments for 71st Street. I don't know if we belong on the other one or not.
You're probably in the
they're
comments, the regular public comment section of the agenda. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I signed up on general and I'm supposed to be on the public hearing for the third one.
Kevin?
Glenn.
Glenn Baker for 3. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, very good. Thank you for clarifying that, Lisa. Public hearing number 1. Let me get to my... This issue is fowls and chickens. It's an ordinance revision.
By budget.
No.
Which
Budget.
one am I on?
Citizens
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a page. Proposed amendment for the, no, that's number 1. Public hearing and propose the budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Town is required to hold a public hearing for citizens' comments on the proposed budget for 2019 and 20. The budget has been available for public review at the Barbie Library and Town Hall and on the town's website. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on the budget?
Yes. Dara Royal.
Darrell Royal, 216 Northeast 47th Street. Madam Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the proposed budget. I'd like to do that in the context of what the county is proposing, and that is to keep the same tax rate because, as has been very well explained in the pilot, there are general obligation bonds that the voters voted for 4 years ago that will need to be debt service paid on. That's a good argument for keeping that tax rate. But what that will do to Oak Island property owners, last year the county billed us, in round numbers, $13.5 million. This year, in round numbers, they will bill us $17 million. That's another $3.5 million coming out of the pockets of Oak Island property owners. So in that context, it makes sense, if at all possible, to go revenue neutral on our budget. The revenue neutral budget for general fund and the sand tax is 25.18 cents. The proposed budget asks for 29 cents, which is a 16% increase over last year. I submit to you that 24 cents is sufficient tax rate for covering the general fund, and that the sand tax could be dropped this year because there's sufficient money in fund balances for everything that's proposed right now with the FEMA projects, and to pay Moffitt-Nichols, and still have the 25% emergency fund balance according to our policy. In the April financial report, $18.5 million is sitting in the bank right now. And at the end of the year, fiscal year later this summer, when the books are closed out, if things go according to how revenues are coming in and how they've been in recent years, conservative estimate would be adding another $500,000 to that. So that's $19 million that we have before the budget. The projected needs for the Hurricane Florence FEMA project, the Sea Turtle FEMA project, Moffitt-Nichols Engineering, and that 25% cushion is $19 million. So you really don't need any more money. 24 cents will cover the general fund budget as it's proposed with come just shy of about $50,000. That can easily be balanced with increasing some of the more conservative revenue projections. Next year's budget also proposes another $1.7 million in accommodations tax. So again, I think there's plenty of money to do what needs to be done going forward with a flat 24-cent rate. And I encourage council to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rural.
Anyone else sign up for the budget public hearing?
Okay. We'll take no action on that until we get to the
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we close public hearing.
second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Public hearing number 2 has been postponed. I'm not sure if that's coming back next month or the following month. Is it number 2 that's postponed, David?
Was there anybody signed up to speak on that?
No, ma'am.
We're good? Okay.
They need to take action to table that.
Continue it to next meeting.
We do?
I believe so, because then we won't have to re-advertise it.
Okay.
If you don't, you're gonna have to re-advertise it, so.
Okay. I entertain a motion to do we need to open it and then close it?
Just motion to table to next month.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to table the public hearing until next month.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Brian, does that take care of it? Okay, thank you. On to public hearing number 3, the purpose of the public hearing is to receive citizens' comments on the text amendment to modify the text in the Oak Island Code of Ordinance, nuisance and ordinance section 4-14-15, and the fee schedule to permit hens in Oak Island. It's on page 3. The proposed amendment is a town council directive and attached below. The applicable ordinance section is within the Code of Ordinance but outside the Unified Development Ordinance, meaning planning board review is not required. Staff has draft standards one must meet in order to house fowl on inside the Oak Island corporate limits. The standards include items such as proper storage, maintenance, lot size, setback, enclosures, odor, sanitation, locations, etc. The intent is to mitigate any potential unintended harmful consequences to allowing chickens within the town limits. Roosters will be prohibited, and the total number of chickens allowed will be capped at 10. The proposed ordinance requires a permit to have chickens within the corporate limits. HOA regulations regarding the topic may apply to some communities and are separate matters. A fee for the chicken permit is also incorporated into agenda item memo. At this time, I'll move forward with open meeting.
Katie Benson.
Okay. Hi.
Honey, state your name. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Katie Benson. I live at 2902 East Shot Drive. I am here again to ask the council to vote to allow pet chickens on Oak Island. I believe pet chickens on the island will be beneficial to the community of Oak Island. I recently visited the Tour de Coop in Raleigh, where people show off their chickens and their coops to raise money for Wake County Urban Ministries. It brought visitors to the area for a good cause. Many cities allow chickens, including Wilmington, Raleigh, Cary, Apex, and many more. On the Facebook social media page, Oak Island Locals, well, this is not like exact or anything, but over 98% of the comments were for chickens. Chickens are maintained in their coop where their waste is isolated, their bedding is easily changed and properly disposed of. My neighbors can tell you that they would not know I had chickens unless I told them. Please vote for chickens on Oak Island. They are an important member of my family.
Thank you, Katie.
Yes, ma'am. Sharon Benson.
My name is Sharon Benson. I live at 2902 East Shot Drive. Thank you to the council and citizens of Oak Island for taking the time to listen and consider the change in the town ordinance to allow chickens as pets on Oak Island. This matter has consumed more time than I ever anticipated. The existing ordinance is in place to prevent producing livestock from being allowed in the residential areas. We are not here to wage a war, but to preserve my daughter's rights to keep her pets. Having chickens is not a new revelation. Many cities allow chickens in their towns, including Raleigh, Apex, Cary, and Wilmington. Despite the misinformed statements of some, pet chickens are not the cause of water pollution. There are many benefits of keeping chickens. Obviously, fresh eggs, they're good for gardens. They are great pets. Chicken eat flies, mosquitoes, and ticks, reducing toxic chemicals needed for pest control. Let's vote to allow chickens on Oak Island and move on to more relevant issues that affect the beautiful place where we live, such as cleaning and preserving our beaches, planting live oaks that this area is famous for, and saving the sea turtles, which, by the way, do poop in the water.
Thank you.
Kelly Benson.
Hello, my name is Kelly Vinson, 2902 East Shot Drive. I have listened to the comments of people when we came to different meetings. I have listened to some things that are not correct. Chickens are not causing water pollution. If you want to think about water pollution, look at every human wastewater plant in this area. It's not only here, but it is on some type of river, creek, estuary. If you have an issue and you think that the chicken's poop is running off in the waterway, I want you to stand out there on that beach and I want you to watch and see how many people leave the beach to go find a restroom and then figure out where you're swimming. Chickens are less destructive, less noise than most people's dogs, cats. It's not a problem. As my daughter stated, most people would not even know we had them if they didn't see them. They cause my daughter to have great joy. She has brittle bone disease. She cannot do a lot of things. So this is one of the things that do bring her joy. It's not an issue. If you're worried about smell, you're welcome to come to my house anytime you want and see what it smells like. 2902 East Jock. I don't know what else to say, other than I am disappointed in some people's ignorance of this topic. If you do have questions, you're more than welcome to come to our house. You're more than welcome to see what we have. Like my daughter said, we just did the Tour de Coupe in Raleigh, and you would be truly amazed at how many chickens, ducks, pot-bellied pigs, even a fainting goat in downtown Raleigh that you would not know was there if they hadn't showed you. That's all I've got.
Leslie Angier.
My name is Leslie Anger. I live at 208 Northeast 39th Street. Been a resident here for only 5 years, but enjoying it very much. And I do echo Kelly's statement regarding the chickens. I'm a supporter. Why raise them? Because they can be fantastic pets. And for those who don't know, hand raising them is just amazing. They have funny little personalities. They reach out. They have better manners than my dogs do. They provide fresh eggs. They're low maintenance. Their area can be very easily kept clean, free of odor, and your garden will appreciate that they will forage for bugs, take care of mosquitoes, take care of the cutworms on your tomatoes, basically clear your vegetable beds of all pests. Their manure is high in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. All good. Care is minimal. They need basically about 10 minutes of care a day for clean water and fresh food, for fresh water and food. Safe shelter is ensured by the town's proposed ordinance and regulations regarding setbacks from existing properties next door, giving them adequate space to be and keep the community as well healthy. That's really all I have to say. I appreciate your support. I think the benefits outweigh the negatives. And if you've ever had fresh eggs, you will never want to buy any.
Thank you. Roseanne Fortner. Did you sign up for that? Okay. I'm sorry, I thought you had hens written next to your. Okay. Glenn Baker.
My name is Glenn Baker. I live on 110 Northeast 16th Street in Oak Island. We moved here after I retired out of the military in 2017, when my wife and I bought our home as a retirement home. Just a side note, when I was at Walmart today, I noticed that Boiling Springs Lakes City Council turned down the proposal for chickens in their city limits, so that's a good reference. I'm standing here in front of the City Council and the Mayor because I'm seeing a disturbing pattern with the town of Oak Island, not enforcing existing city ordinances, but yet want to add more to them. You say, what type of ordinances are not being enforced? Here's the following ordinances that I've seen that seem to be the most popular that homeowners violate. Chapter 14, Environment, Article 2, Nuisances section, Growth of Weeds and Grass. Chapter 14, Environment, Article 2, Division 2, Article 2, Division 3, Section 14-91, Junk Vehicles that cannot be propelled by self-means. And Chapter 14, Solid Waste section, 24-66, Refuse, Undeveloped and Undeveloped Property. In Chapter 4, Animals, Article 1, General 4, Causes unsanitary, dangerous, or offensive conditions, including fouling the air by odors. I have nothing against chickens. I'm against it in our city limits. We are known as a beach community, the town of Oak Island. Okay? I had a friend come and tell me who lives in Ocean Isle Beach, call us Ghetto Island. And you wonder why. Now, the mayor, when she was running for office, came up with a good idea. She said, email me pictures of said violations that you see, and then we'll take action or some type on it. I don't know what happened to that, but I really love that idea. I wish you would bring it back, or actually start it. Now, these violations fall under the Planning and Zoning Department headed by Jake Ferris, the Planning and Zoning Administrator, to fix. I find it incredulous when I read in the article in the pilot where it says he voted that he is going to change the city ordinances because he's all in favor of it. Now, I don't think that a member of the Oak Island Department of Planning should even be quoted in there. He should be anonymous, okay? But he gave his name for him to do that. I said, our town has too many issues with enforcing codes with the aforementioned ordinances that we should ever allow chickens in the town limits. If Oak Island wants to be known as a family-friendly beach community that's progressive, the town needs to seriously start enforcing these existing ordinances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon.
I believe that's all I have signed up for this public hearing.
Okay. Entertain a motion to come out of closed public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Action can be taken on this proposed amendment tonight. What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor, I have had a difficult time with this. First I was for it, then I was against it, then I was for it again. I was made aware of some of the benefits that I did not know about. I would request that we table this and so I can look at it a little further. That's just my 2 cents.
Are you making that a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to do it in the form of a motion?
I'd like a motion that we table this and bring it up at another time after reconsideration.
I'll
second.
Any discussion?
Well, I think we should dispose of this issue according to the will of council as they perceive our community. I don't think it should be tabled. And I'll just say for myself, I think this as an ordinance is inconsistent with the vision we have as a community. I think it puts us on the slippery slope to other exceptions coming forward. And when presented either tonight or at a later date, I will vote no.
Okay, we have a motion on the table that's seconded by Mr. Scott. Is all four? Motion that's on the table.
I vote no. I'm
All in
closing the
favor?
motion.
Show of hands, please.
We're voting on the
We're voting on the motion
to table.
to bring it back at a further, and after, according to Mr. Blaylock, he wants to study the issue more. So he made the motion. Bring it back at a later time.
I thought we had discussion.
That was second. You still got something to discuss. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, because when we originally had this last month, I'd asked for ordinance to come back for us to have what would be acceptable in Oak Island. Not just chickens, if there was something else that was acceptable. Because if something comes up and we do accept chickens, there's going to be somebody else bringing something else up. There needs to be an ordinance in place that we vote on that will spell out exactly what's allowed on Oak Island and what is not allowed on Oak Island, so we don't have to keep going through this every time with public hearings and ordinances.
But we have that.
No, we don't.
No, we do.
No, we don't.
It says
It's
no.
very vague on what we have, or just chickens wouldn't have came up. So we need something that's spelled out.
So your discussion is that the ordinance needs to be rewritten in a different format?
Absolutely, because the way it is right now, it isn't.
If I'm understanding you correctly, if I may, Madam Mayor,
Certainly, go ahead.
you're wanting to broaden it to cover other animals.
Well, what is allowed and what is not. I mean, it's just a vague,
Animal-wide,
yes,
essentially.
yes,
The ordinance now says no livestock.
right.
Well, I guess you're saying define livestock.
Yes.
If we're not in favor of livestock, then we don't need to make staff
Right.
come back and bring another ordinance.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, don't you think we should take the vote on this first?
Yes, that's
To find
fine.
out if there is a in favor of chickens?
Go ahead.
I'm just
Can't.
asking.
Got a motion.
We got a motion on the table to table this to a future meeting, and we need to vote on that, and then you can,
Okay.
all in favor of tabling this to another date? All opposed? Motion passed, Lisa. That will be advertised, Jake, I guess we'll get with you and see if there's something we need to change, or,
Madam Mayor, point of order, on the public hearing too, we tabled that. And if the intent is for that to be taken up next month, we need to have a motion to take it off the table, and then a motion to continue it until next month. If you don't want to bring it back next month, that's fine, it can be tabled.
The motion was to table it until July.
Okay, so can we have a motion to untable that? Hopefully that'll pass, and then a motion to continue the public hearing to July.
on number 2.
Yes, ma'am, because technically the next action would be to untable it, and since it's a public hearing, I'm worried about the notice requirements.
Okay, any council member like to make that motion, and then we'll finish with this one? You want me to go back and do that now, if it didn't come back?
All right, so we're back on public hearing number 2.
Number 2.
Right. Motion to
Motion to untable it.
I'm requesting that a motion be,
Second.
But, Council, you need a motion to table this to the July meeting, is that
actually, I
correct?
need a motion to untable it.
I make a motion
Then
to.
table it.
Then no, a motion to continue it until
Okay.
July.
I make a motion to untable it.
I
Second, all in favor? Now we need a motion to
Madam
continue.
Mayor, I make a motion to continue it to July.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you,
Just
Jeff.
out of abundance of caution, since that is a public hearing, tabling it and continuing it are two different things procedurally, so thank you.
So are we continuing this
Just
with the with the one we have on?
Talking about the
Now we're talking about the chicken. Charlie, was your motion to table it or to continue it?
He tabled, that was tabled, right?
That was tabled, yeah.
And
We've
it's-
had the
it-
public hearing.
So it's done, it's 3-2, so we're tabling it until, without win.
Until it's taken off the table by a motion.
So between now and then, are you going to be rewriting?
I'm sorry, sir, we can't interact, I'm sorry.
They should do the same thing for
So we're gonna table it until somebody else brings it back up, is that what you're saying? Is that what we're doing?
Procedural way to do it, yes.
So we just kicked it down the road?
But, well, we did now, but you can make another motion.
Tabled it.
Okay.
If you want to do what we did for that one as well, now would be the time to do it if you definitely want to bring it back in July.
So now we have a motion that has been tabled. Is it appropriate if any council member wants to untable it? They can untable it, then we can have another motion if they so choose?
Well, we did have the public hearing on that, so
Yeah,
for action purposes, yes.
okay. So,
So
right now,
can we just move it to July? I don't know what the words are, but can we just move it to July, please?
Well, you need to make a motion
Well, you
to
did.
undo the table and continue.
No, because the public hearing occurred for number 3.
If we're bringing back additional ordinances and additional amendments, then I would recommend we re-advertise it anyway.
Well, if that's what, yeah, I mean, now that was Jeff's, Councilmember Weinkauf's discussion point. Was there a consensus from the council to direct staff to bring back additional ordinances or additional language? Because I believe
yes,
Councilmember Bell.
it was his discussion, but he didn't make it a form of a motion. Because there was a motion on the table, that was just part of that discussion. Now, he could make a motion at this point, is that correct?
I mean, if there's a consensus of council, we can do that, but
All we need is a consensus
Lisa's
of
right.
council.
If you're going to bring this back up, it's going to be on what's in front of you tonight. If you're going to bring an alternative ordinance back up, then we're going to have to re-advertise, because that's something outside the scope of what's already been advertised.
Yeah, well, we have no motion as of yet to do anything other than table this. That's what we got on the table right now. With no defined date to bring it back. Was that your, where do we go from here, Brian?
Well, it'll come back the next time it's taken off the table. And so that can be at the next meeting. For the public
It can be
hearing.
on the next month's agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, I'm gonna make a motion to bring back a new ordinance revised for the July meeting so we can put an end to this.
Revised and,
To add what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in the town of Oak Island as far as pets.
Well, I think you're talking about several things: pets, domesticated animals, livestock, and exotic and wild animals.
Livestock.
That's the full gamut.
Okay. Can you bring us something back?
I'll second
second, all in favor, please? Show of hands. All opposed? All right.
That'll be re-advertised. Lisa, do we need to call for a public hearing now, or?
No, if it's something that automatically needs a public hearing, it's a policy for staff to just schedule it.
All right, we'll move forward. Public hearing number 4. The purpose of everybody knows that part. I'm not going to read that again, so I'm going to go straight to the content. Staff was given a directive at the most recent town hall meeting to bring forth a text amendment regarding fences on the ocean front. The request from the public stemmed from a recent denial variance request, a general site map showing the area that would be affected, and an illustration map showing what implication would look like. And we all have had that and had time to look at it. Is there anyone signed up for that? Lisa?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing number 4.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and that can have action taken tonight. I'll open the floor up for a motion or discussion, whichever way y'all want to do it first.
I need one of you.
Steve, Jake, thank you.
Brief staff
That
report?
would be awesome. Thank you, Jake.
Okay, little history, this has come up as a directive given by, a little history, this has come up as a directive by council at the last town hall style meeting. And it sat with planning board for a couple months. They made some solid improvements to it before they made a recommendation of approval. And as you mentioned, Madam Mayor, there's a general site map and illustrative map attached to the agenda item memo that shows what implementation would look like. And just to describe basically what the wording of the proposed fence ordinance amendment says is it allows a 6-foot fence to be permissible. It only applies in the area between oceanfront lots between Southeast 58th and 74th Street. Where that odd area is where Beach and Ocean Drive doesn't parallel all those properties. And it essentially says from the first line of vegetation, at least 250 feet from that, out by the dunes, from the first vegetation line, a 6-foot fence at that point is permissible. But at no point also can it not be 6 foot within 25 feet from the road right-of-way line or beyond like the edge corner of the house that's closest to the road right-of-way as well. That's it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Mr. Vars, this was approved by the planning board. It went before the planning board.
It was, yes.
Okay. Any questions?
I have a comment, but no questions. So,
Anyone else have questions? Okay. Thank you, Jake.
so I think we should discuss this because it seems to me that thoughtful zoning and consistent enforcement is what we owe our citizens. That's what protects the value of their property. And in fact, what we have here is another one-off exception. Someone denied a variance at the Board of Adjustment. So from my point of view, this question was asked and answered. And it ought to stay where it is with the Board of Adjustment's decision. And we, I think, need to resist amending constantly when people request one-off things. It's nice to have a consistent enforcement, and as Jake details in his memo, this was about the beach view originally. This was an ordinance that was enforced townwide. I see no reason to change it for one individual.
Any further discussion? Anyone like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to deny the proposed text amendment.
Second that.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, public hearing number 5. The proposed text amendment is about setting a maximum allowable impervious surface percentage for single and two-family resident developments only. Built upon area, also called impervious area, is a source of pollution that is controlled by these regulations. Pollutants such as oil and chemicals deposits on the surface washes straight into the creeks and lakes and run off during rain events, causing negative water quality impacts. The goal with this text amendment is to mitigate runoff issues by restricting the amount of impervious surface that can be installed on a lot and to preserve open space. The built-upon portion of the portion of the text amendment, if adopted, would only apply to single, 2- and 3-family residential development, not commercial or land use types. More restrictive stormwater regulations are already set for commercial development. At the moment, there are no regulations regarding an allowable impervious surface area. Some were proposed in the past but were never approved. Currently, an application submitted by a developer cannot be denied due to excessive impervious surface. This text amendment would change the stormwater section from a zoning ordinance if adopted. The ordinance revision would not affect areas with stormwater permits. Anybody signed up for
Yes,
that?
ma'am. Dara Boyle.
Dara Royal, 216 Northeast 47th Street. Once again, an Oak Island Town Council has an opportunity to limit the impervious surface on residential lots. There have been long periods of time in our town's history when the planning board would not even send a proposal to council for consideration. Previous proposals that have made it to council were doomed from the start for a variety of reasons. A proposal council considered and rightly rejected in 2016 is a prime example. I find no reason for rejecting the current proposal or for delaying consideration to hold an additional public hearing to do so. So I encourage council to take action tonight to adopt the proposed amendments as presented in your agenda packet to cap impervious surface on residential lots at 45%. Understand that a 45% cap does little more than preserve the status quo on new development for the time being. Future redevelopment must also be taken into consideration at some point, and the sooner the better. A significant amount of existing older residential development that has impervious surface in the range of 20 to 25% will be torn down and redeveloped over the next several years. Imagine the impact of doubling impervious surfaces on even half of those properties. Placing a 45% cap on impervious surface tonight is better than nothing, but it will not be sufficient going forward. Remember, sometimes less is more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Furman.
Kevin Tittle. And while he approaches, I'll also note that I have comments recorded for the minutes that were submitted by Carolina Candelaria.
Yes, I'm Kevin Tittle, 134 Northeast 3rd Street, Oak Island. I come out against the 45%. It's not just, the way it's written is not just for new construction. It means if you have an existing house that has 50% or 60%, and something happens, your shed gets knocked down. According to this ordinance, you can't put it back. So now you have to go back and you start losing stuff that you already own. And I don't think that's right. Now, as far as the 45% new construction, I am a builder. I do build on the island. One of my last houses was 49%. It's within the buildable area, and I have to do the water retention. So I'm following all the rules and building within the footprint I need to. I don't understand why we need to add something else to restrict what we can do with our own properties. It just seems like essentially the town's becoming more like an HOA, where we have to come to get permission to do anything on our property, and I don't think that's right.
Betty Hupp?
I'm Betty Hupp. I live at 7916 East Yacht Drive. Allowing only 45% of a lot to be built on is a wonderful plan if it is not too little or too late. And I hope you will pass this plan. However, allowing a swimming pool to be part of the pervious 55% left negates the whole idea. As I have stood here before and said, I'll say again, the top of a swimming pool may be pervious, but the bottom better be impervious. Making swimming pools part of the 45%, make the swimming pools part of the 45%, not the 55%, and will return to the 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses this sewer system was built for and the lots were laid out for. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have signed up for that public hearing.
Okay, thank you, everyone. A motion to close.
Public hearing.
Second. All in favor? All right, this is, we can take action on this tonight, and it was approved by the planning board, Jake?
Madam Mayor, the staff does recommend, but they also suggested holding a second public hearing at the July meeting. I'd like to do that.
All right.
I'd like to ask Mr. Everett some questions, if I may. And so I'm going to quote from the memo. So there are no impervious surface controls at this point? Is that correct?
There are no maximum buildable area.
There's no BOA control?
Right. There are controls.
Okay.
First inch and a half runoff.
Right. Well, let's talk for a moment about, you stated in your memo that commercial regulations are more stringent. In what way?
They don't follow the regulations that are for the 1 and 2 family. They have to do a pre and post stormwater runoff calculation. They have to save as high as almost 4 inches of stormwater. So they have more stringent guidelines already in place.
Well, I'll just say I'm mildly comforted. I'd like to see those. Going to page 15A in your data, it's interesting that you have a sample, and thank you for providing the data. That's really interesting to me. And it looks as if, rounding the average, you would be 34% for the 2 years that you sampled. And in effect, the outliers are less than 10%, right? 8 the 1 year and 9.6% the next year. So there aren't that many outliers. And I'm wondering if, as you say, on page 16, the typical lot is 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. Whether or not 40% would be a more desirable stormwater target, or 38%, or a range. It just seems like 45 is really generous, because you're essentially only dealing with the outliers.
We were trying to maintain with what the building trends were, and although like you said, the norm between the 2 years is right around the 35%, there is still a 10% that exceeds that. So it was just in consideration of following the normal building trends.
I think this is a step in the right direction. What I'm trying to do is look at your data and
See if we can take.
see whether or not there might be a more appropriate target, perhaps using a range. Because you're only addressing the outliers at this point. And as the gentleman said earlier, the redevelopment section, which is on page 17, I think needs to probably be examined again. Because that potentially could be, on the first paragraph on page 17, so where a pre-existing development is redeveloped, either in whole or part, increased stormwater control shall only be required for the amount of impervious surface being created. And I think the gentleman's concern was he might lose, or a citizen might lose property they currently possess in redeveloping. Is that an accurate statement?
That is what his concerns were, yes.
Yes, but is that consistent with what you're saying here?
Redevelopment and what the gentleman was saying are really two different things. He's talking about the loss of something, and we'd have to look at that on a case-by-case situation. But redevelopment is like someone else talked about, where you've got the lots that have 2 lots, 1 home. They're tearing them down, they're redeveloping. Those will be held to these regulations.
To the 45%.
45%. But there is, as for the stormwater retention part of that, it's credited, for lack of a better word, any existing built-upon area that they had. So moving forward, they just have to capture the percentage that's over what the existing stormwater was.
So if I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I understand you to say is, in the event of catastrophic storm damage, right, the party will be able to be made whole by reconstructing what they had. That's one scenario. Versus redevelopment, which is surely coming as we build out.
It is. It's already coming.
It's already beginning. And you're saying there the new standard applies to 45%.
Correct.
Okay, so there are two different scenarios. One is loss, and the other is redevelopment.
Right, and we would look
Does
at
the
the
50% fall into that?
I was going to say, we'd look at it at a non-conformity base, and it's going to be a case-by-case. It'll depend on the damage and the amount of impervious surface that was done. We just had a board of adjustment hearing over a driveway, and it wasn't considered, it was a substantial loss, and he had to redesign.
Well, we might want to give some thought to that, because going case by case invites.
Well, that's with any non-conformity.
Yeah, I know, but I'm looking for consistent zoning that we can enforce that makes sense, that reduces our stormwater issue. But this is a step forward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any more discussion or any more questions for Mr. Edwards? Okay, what's the pleasure of the council? Sheila, you want to make that a form of a motion? Do we have to for a second hearing?
Do I have a motion to have a second public hearing?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we set a second public hearing for July as suggested by staff.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Yes, sir. That concludes our public hearing section of the agenda. At this time, we'll move into presentations, proclamations, and recognitions. We're going to start with the Officer of the Year from the Southport Rotary Club.
Madam Mayor, the Officer of the Year is also in the National Guard Reserves, and he had to be attend a mandatory meeting for that today, so he's not able to be here.
Okay, so
we're just gonna
move it to another meeting.
Another time.
Excuse me, Lisa.
Yes, we'll do that another time.
Proclamation from the Oak Island Citizen Center, 40th anniversary. And I think they have some representatives here tonight that are going to present the proclamation. Is that how? Come on up. Charlie is very closely connected with the Oak Island Visitor Center, so he's going to come up and read the proclamation with me. And
what she said is I'm old.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Watch the chords. Watch the chords. Watch the chords, everyone. Charlie. Charlie, you got your proclamation with you?
Thank you.
I just made it in. I just made it in under the mark. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hold the mic, Charlie. Thank you.
Proclamation recognizing the 40th anniversary of the Ruth T. Bingham Oak Island Senior Center. Whereas the Ruth T. Bingham Oak Island Senior Center was founded in 1979 when a small group of senior citizens artisans began meeting in the old post office building on Beach Drive. And whereas after moving through a few locations, the center settled into its present location on East Oak Island Drive in 1995. The mortgage was paid off in 2006 thanks to the bequeath from the estate of Mrs. Ruth T. Bingham, for whom the center is now named. And whereas the nonprofit organization is dedicated to serving the recreational, intellectual, and physical needs of senior citizens in Smithville Township, and to create public awareness of the needs of elderly according to the organization's bylaws, and whereas the center operates with no funding from the state, relying solely on grant funds and proceeds from the craft sales at the shop. And whereas the center serves as a meeting and gathering place for seniors and offers classes and programs in a wide variety of subjects, including computers, art, postcards games, and other senior organization trips to historical sites, and operates a small library, among other activities. And whereas the center's members also support the local community through donations and fundraisers for local charitable organizations, donating computers and printers, helping families at Christmas, and hosting the local AARP tax team. And whereas there are currently nearly 200 members, many area seniors have benefited from the center's presence in our community, and many more will take advantage of all the center has to offer for years to come. And whereas the center is celebrating quit helping me. And as the center is celebrating its anniversary with the open house on Saturday, June the 22nd. That's Saturday, June the 22nd. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All are invited and refreshments will be served.
Now therefore, I send brochure, Mayor of Town of Oak Island, congratulate the Ruth T. Bingham Oak Island Senior Center on its 40th anniversary. In recognition of its outstanding service and testimony of a high regard in which the center is held in this community, proclaim this day, 11th day of June 2019. Congratulations. We're very instrumental of this from the very beginning, and we're very, very grateful that you saw that way back a long time ago, and we now have what we have now, and this has been many years, and it hasn't faltered, and it's a wonderful thing for our island. Thank you so much. And everybody go. It's on the 22nd. It's on Saturday. No excuses. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. Things fixed. Thank you, Councilman Blaylock. You did a great job. Sorry, I put him on the spot. I'm sorry. All right, moving on to the presentation by ATMC, designation of a small rural community provided by the NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association. I'm very proud to say that I'm on the task force for the rural broadband, and they use me as the poster child on why you can be a perfect high speed. everybody else there doesn't have high speed, so I feel very special. Thank you for coming.
And Mayor, now that you sat down, will you please, I believe they would like to take a
Oh, they
photo.
Yeah, I'm going to speak right quick and then we can take a photo. Good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria Bellamy. I'm the Marketing and Public Relations Coordinator at ATMC in Charlotte. Last year, ATMC was recognized as a Smart Rural Community Provider. We received this national recognition through the NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, because of the work that we've done to bring fiber optic technology to towns throughout Brunswick County, like Oak Island, as well as our local anchor institutions like the hospital and our physician offices, our Brunswick County Public Schools, and our Brunswick County 911 Communications Center. Now we get to recognize towns throughout the county that are served by our fiber optic network. Our fiber optic technology provides the same speed and bandwidth as networks serving large metropolitan areas like New York or Seattle. We are proud to be able to serve Oak Island residents and businesses, and we're proud to be able to call Oak Island a smart rural community.
Okay. At this time, before we move on to, well, let's approve the agenda and then we'll take a break and I'll be back. So, this time, are there any adjustments or to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, can we add the old business number 1, the town council calendar?
Yes, sir, we can. And now I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much. At this time, we'll take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back at, is that clock work, guys? One time it didn't work. Okay, we'll be back. Order. And we're going to start off with a big bang with the public comment section of our agenda. And Lisa, do we have anyone sign up to speak during the public comment section? Please remember it's a 3-minute limit, and you'll hear a little ding, and state your name and address, please.
William Love.
Oh, Lisa, let me, Mr. Love gave me this during the, and I told him we would pass it down as he spoke. If y'all want to take a look at that, that's what Mr. Love's going to speak about. And those are to keep, to put on the, in the file.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the petition, my wife and I in 2 days got 125 signatures.
Can you state your name and your address?
Oh, yes, sorry. My name is William Love, 2001 East Oak Island Drive, Oak Island, North Carolina. And so that's a cross sample of our neighbors. We haven't met one person that was not willing to sign, so that gives you an idea. The other, we had 3 pages of pictures of the walkover. What I'm talking about tonight is the walkover on 20th Street, 19th Street, walkover. We've heard everything from that it's in the budget, paid for, and you've hired somebody, to it's going to be torn down for sure. We don't know which is true. We've heard every rumor from reliable people, and we don't know what's going on. We do know that it consistently and always has nail pops, and has boards that are up, trip points, and it has the handrails are rotted and splintered. If you try to use it for support, you're going to end up with splinters. The rest area, if you look at it, is slanted, like it's beginning to tip over. It's not supported. The handrails are not as loose as they once were, but if you look at it, they are not sturdy.
Can everyone hear him? Can you hear Mr. Love? I'm not sure your mic's on, Mr. Love.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yeah. For the last year and a half, my wife's been going to talk to Connect at the Public Works, and Kennette's been very courteous to us, but every time she explains that it's not in the budget, money's not there to work on it and do repairs, and that you have to hire somebody every time to do the work. There's no maintenance schedule that we know of, or any other way. It seems like it's a very strange way of fixing things. Really to the point, and then my wife even offered to have the neighbors buy boards, and we could get a campaign into where you had enough lumber to rebuild it, since it's such a burden on the town. But they said that's rejected, that we couldn't do that, so we gave up on that proposal. I think that we're at a point, I think the town is putting itself vulnerable to lawsuits. People have been hurt. One woman talked about a lawsuit, but never put one in. I think you can't ignore it for a long time, the health and safety of the visitors and the residents. And we would like, of course, I think the solution now, since it's so old, is just to rebuild it and have a quality walkway again. So I wanted to bring it to your attention for your consideration. And if you look at the pictures, I think you'll see the condition of the walkway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Love.
Don Hicks.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Don Hicks. I live at 114 Northeast 71st Street, Oak Island, North Carolina. We've had property down here since 1980. And I'm here to talk to the council. I really didn't know who to talk to, so thank you for allowing me to speak. I've got some pictures here. This is our sand dunes at our beach access. And if you look at that first page, that's pretty tough on an old man trying to get up there with his coolers and umbrellas and his grandchildren, and just it's really tough. If you go to that second page, you can see it's even the hill going back up, even to go home. You got to pull up that sandy hill, and the bottom picture is a picture of someone going in the beach access next to us. Looks pretty flat, don't it? On the third page, that's actually St. James entrance and exit to the beach. That's me from the beach, and then that's me standing at the top, right where they come down their steps. And again, on the next page, that's me at St. James, and that's the sand dunes where it's been watered down or pushed down or whatever to make it more level and accessible. And then on the next page, that's the exit, the next street over. I think that's 70th Street. And I like what I heard earlier talking about consistency. I think these are not very good professional pictures, but there's certainly no consistency there as far as beach access. And like I said, we've been down here since 1980, and I've got senior dad living with us and grandkids, and he can't even go to the beach. And the people on our street are going other places trying to get so they can get out on the beach, and then they end up having to park halfway back up to Oak Island Drive and walk down there and not even use the beach access and parking that's been made available. And I was just hoping that there might be something could do to knock the hill down or make it not so steep. So we can use our beach access.
This is 71st Street, the first page.
Yes, ma'am. And then the next one is right beside our exit, and then the last one is on the opposite side.
Thank you.
We just want to be able to use our beach access and not have to get in our cars and drive down the street and take up parking from somebody else. And I mean, we've been walking down there for 35, 40 years, and now we can't.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, your time is up.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You didn't hear it because we were talking.
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, is there anything that you know of that can be done without harming our dunes?
I think we had Steve go take a look at it, and he can get up and give a brief report what he found.
Sure.
I did go down to Southeast 71st Street, 72nd. There was a 3rd Street, and I don't remember which one that one was. I know that it's soft sands. It's difficult to walk across. But it goes against everything that we try to do into protecting the beach by opening up pathways through them. There may be something we can do with maybe getting some matting or something like that where they could be rolled out to make it easier to walk across. It is a little bit of an incline. I've got a bad knee myself, but I was able to traverse the terrain.
Does that mean walk across it?
Yes.
We can take some looks at it and see if there is anything we can do there.
Okay.
But,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Can you traverse back, all right? Okay.
Helen Cashwell?
Helen Cashwell, 3407 East Yacht Drive. I'd like to talk about the most expensive thing in this town, and that's the infrastructure of our sewer system. It was designed for a 3-bedroom house.
Pick up the microphone.
Oh, excuse me. For those of you that haven't been around very long, our sewer system was designed for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and a family of 4 living in it. In 2014, these were the questions that have never been answered, and you might still be interested in them. What's the chances that the sewer system could break? What are the capacities that I should be concerned with? And how do we ensure this longevity of our sewer system? How do I know if my valve pit is blocked? And what do I do if I smell sewage? What do I do in an emergency? And what warranties does the hurricane have? And what do I do during the hurricane? I will tell you this, that the homes being built this past 2 years are becoming noticeably larger. And I'll remind this council that our sewer system was designed for 3-bedroom houses. Council even voted last year that there should be a cap of 3,999 square feet in allowed new structures. Has Development Services heard those words? There are certainly larger homes appearing from the outside. Check the rental agencies and you'll find that multiple residences are for renting for 20 residents and above. These are not homes, they're mini hotels. I have knowledge of a home sold in Kingsley in the past 4 months, had 4 bedrooms that was immediately cut over by the new owner for 22 sleepers. Who will pay for the expansion of the pumping stations as they become too small to allow for the increased affluence? And what, if any, are the rules for over-allowable? Council should demand an audit of the capacity allowable at once of every station in each section. We are concerned coming up to the 4th of July, And that's when, a long time ago, it's 2 years, when houses on the beach had terrible issues with backup of sewer in the homes. Don't wait until it's too late.
Thank you, Ms. Caswell.
Betty Monin?
Betty Monin, 3501 East Yacht Drive. And I want to address something I heard just a little bit ago about this being the ghetto. If this is the ghetto, I'm proud to be a member of the hood. Today, my issue is with speeders on Yacht Drive. And I have to say that our police department has stepped up and they are out there monitoring Yacht Drive. However, it's not going to solve the issue over the long run, and especially this summer and with a lot of building going on. The people that we see speeding most of the time, it's contractors and their employees trying to get to work in the morning, or else they're speeding and going home. So that's the issue on Yacht Drive. And I would, one stop sign was left on Yacht Drive up in the 50s, and I think it had something to do with the boat ramp. I'm not quite sure. But we are a straightaway from the 40s, the 30s, the 20s. Cars are speeding all the time, and it's going to be dangerous for people who are walking, riding bicycles. So hope you will look at having a couple of stop signs put up on the straightaway. And that's it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate our police force, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Huntley?
I'm Tom Huntley. I got a house at 134 Northeast 10th Street. I live in Moore County. Made a special trip down here today just to talk to y'all and get a little help, I hope. I come down in the fall of the year, each and every year for the past 19, 20 years, and blow the water lines out in the house, keep them from freezing. Next door, we had a contractor remodel the house. He bought it, he's remodeling it. Got it up for sale. Contractor is an Ed Wong, W-O-N-G. He didn't have any water over there. So he came over to my place by his own admission on the outside spigot. Couldn't get any water because, of course, the lines have been blown out and the water's turned off at the street. He turns the water on at the street. He uses the spigot. He gets through with it. He cuts the water off at the spigot, but he does not cut it off back at the back on the street. And in the meantime, all the water is running through every faucet in the house because they're wide open. I get a bill from the town for $312. But because of the billing cycle, the way the town is, the next billing cycle, the bill's over $900. Mr. Wong comes around and he says that he will pay the bill. And he goes to the town, he pays the $300. I tell him about the $900. Oh, I'm not going to pay that. He said, I've paid enough. And the reason that I'm coming to you is because you people have a way to reconcile this with him because you issue him permits. You're allowing him to pull permits in this town. And the licensing board in Raleigh clearly states, because I used to be a contractor, that all licensees will operate in an ethical manner. And this is far from that. You can penalize, you can not issue permits, you can get the money. I would have personally padlocked the meter, But legally, I can't do that. That meter does not belong to me. It belongs to the town. And I'm here asking for the help on this. The town water department acts like I'm the culprit. I'm the victim in all this. Hell, I hadn't done anything. And, if you got any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, sir. David, can we look into this further later?
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
during the meeting. Okay. We'll be in touch with you.
Shouldn't this be between
Civil?
he and the builder? But,
Well, I mean, I heard what the man said. I don't have any reason to doubt what he's saying. I would need to look into it further to see what involvement.
They've got,
Sir, I'm sorry, 1 second.
the town itself
Sir,
has
Yes, sir.
One second, 1 second.
on record that he paid the first bill.
I'll be happy to help David, the town manager, work with you on this and gather some information, but as I sit here right now, I can't answer your question. But we'll be happy
My
to,
question was, wouldn't it be between him and for him to go?
it could be,
warrant or whatever. On him.
it could be, but without more information, I wouldn't want to.
Thank you.
And we'll be happy to consider whatever you have, sir.
I could take a warrant or go to small claims court, but all you're gonna get in small claims court is a judgment. A judgment is absolutely worthless.
Sir, we'll have staff be in touch with you.
But I think that y'all could, if you wanna get paid for the water, I'm sure that you can get it out of him. He's wanting to work on this island.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
But in the meantime, I hadn't paid it, and what am I gonna do? If I don't pay it, y'all gonna cut my water off.
Do you know anything about it?
A little bit. I'll give you the information.
You take care of that?
You got phone number?
My phone number.
You don't have to,
No, don't say it over.
Don't
the
say it
mic.
here. I'll get it with you in a minute.
Okay.
I mean, you can if you want to, but everybody's gonna know it then, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You.
Forgot about that.
Any more? All right. Moving on to the council reports. Thanks, Scotty. Let's start with you, Councilman Weinkoff.
Well, thank you,
Oh, I'm
Madam.
sorry. How did we forget?
I'm so sorry, I skipped you after I.
I'm sorry. Miss
I'm so sorry.
Roseanne, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Miss Roseanne doing jumping jacks back there.
Thank you. Roseanne Fortner, 113 Paula Circle, speaking on behalf of the Beach Preservation Society. Our mission that the council has recently approved has three parts. That is education, engagement of the public, and enhancing the beach experience for everyone. We have to work on those things simultaneously, especially in a busy season like summer. And these are the kinds of things that we're doing right now. We need your involvement in order to make things work efficiently for us. First of all, for education, the North Carolina Aquarium brings its show to a family program at the Recreation Center once a month during the summer. We provide that program, and it is hosted at the Recreation Center. The program for June is on the 27th at 2 p.m. at the Recreation Center, and the topic is Sea Turtle 911. What's happening to sea turtles? How can we help them? In engagement of the public, we definitely need your help on this one. Last year we had some flash sweeps, some beach sweeps that were once a week at one particular access for 5 minutes of cleanup. They were very popular, very well attended, and we took a bunch of trash off the beach, the kind of things that we feel good about and we want to continue to foster. This year we haven't got one person that is able to be here and honcho all of those 1 week at a time for the 10 weeks. What we need for you to do is to tell us what access you would like to host a flash sweep for. We'll advertise it, we'll gather your audience together and make that happen for you. We'll send you the guidelines for how to do it. And wouldn't that be a great thing for you to do when your family is coming for a week's vacation here? Show them how you care for the beach. I've got the first week of August. You can have some of the others, okay? Let us know how you want to do this. Our beachoki@outlook.com email flips over to my email, and I will set you up with a time and a place for doing that. You need to tell me when you're available. Third thing that we're doing is for the Better Beach for All, and that is we continue to support the work of the beach ambassadors, patrolling the beach to greet beachgoers, to share information and remind people of their personal responsibilities for beach care and safety. The early issues that they've been dealing with are mainly glass, people bringing glass onto the beach, but there are also some dune infractions. They're focusing a lot this year on the leaving of holes, and people not filling the holes when they leave the beach. That is especially important in a time that we're seeing so many sea turtle crawls and what feels like an early pulse of new visitors. So please help us by being a good ambassador yourself when you're at the beach. Set a good example for those around you. Thank you for all you do for the beach. This is our crunch time, so let's all participate and keep the beach safe and happy for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne. Before I move on to the report from the council and the mayor, I want to back up one time because I meant to ask you a question, Mr. Kelly. The walkway that we got the things for, is that, I know Mr. Love said that he had heard that it was going to be torn down. Is there any factual?
Yeah, well, Scott, the Public Works Director, he's looking into it. The person that did the amphitheater behind us, we have taken him down there. He's looked at it to give us a price for repair or replacement. And Scott's waiting for that to be submitted. This budget cycle that you are voting on tonight, we did put extra money in there for the 2 walkways.
Okay, great.
So that is one of the things that.
That's good news. So it wouldn't be totally gone away. When it would be replaced or repaired.
If we had to repair it to a certain extent, it probably would be closed for a while, but yes.
But it'll be back either way. It's just getting repaired.
We're not doing away with that.
Okay, very good. I think there might have been some misunderstandings about that. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Council report, Councilman Weinkauf, we're going to start with you again.
Yes, Madam Mayor, if my council members and mayor will indulge me, I'd like to go a little bit in review of what we've done this past year and just give a little update to everybody what's been happening, because it's been a very busy year this calendar year. We've had Hurricane Florence, which devastated our town. Many homes flooded. The county had problems with their sewer system, which hindered us in this town. Also, I made a lot of visits to homes who had flooded to try to see what I could do to help them. And that was very rewarding to me to be able to get some of these places fixed and find the problems. Also, I think this is the 3rd year in a row, the sewer system. The sewer rates haven't gone up. When I took office, we had 13% hikes because it was underfunded. We were told every year there would be a 3% hike. We've actually decreased sewer rates and do not have those 3% hikes right now. We've been able to rebuild the pier better than ever, renovated the restaurant and the pier itself, the pier house. We've added a splash pad for the kids to play and have fun, and looks like it's pretty successful. New fencing for the tennis and pickleball courts. We've got a new stage for events instead of a tractor trailer bed. We have sand we put on the west and east end. We've been able to get the feds, the FEMA, to fund a turtle project that nobody thought could be done, which will happen this winter. Overall, I think we've done a lot of job. We've got a lot of things that's been on our plates. We have tackled them. We have committees who help us, like the Planning Board, Environmental Advisory Board. We couldn't do it without the Beach Preservation Society helping us. And Beautification Club. Everybody contributes to our success on this island. And when people write stuff, you know it's election year, because half the stuff you read is not true. And when they call you a mom and pop with all the stuff we've done, I'm very proud to be a mom and pop shop, because mom and pops were the foundation of our country. They kept our small towns, and they were always willing to help you. And we can do what we can do here to help people. That's our job. I've also asked our town manager, and I've said this from get-go, when our pier opens up on July the 2nd, I'd like to have a free fishing day for all our residents who show ID where they live and let them fish for free that day if council will consent to that.
You want to consent to that right now?
Yeah.
Everybody? I'm good with that. I'm down for it.
Well,
Johnny,
that-
stop.
Staff can,
I've already asked,
news the resident.
I've already asked the town manager.
Okay,
So as
very
long as
good.
council consents.
And go in our publicity for the open. for
But
the
this is our
fire-
20th year, and we need to make it a great year. We'll have fireworks July 1st on the pier, and that ends my report.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing, Madam Mayor. So everybody knows, a lot of credit has to go to this staff and our mayor and this council for work they've done. So far, we have brought in over $10 million from FEMA for our beaches, for the loss we've had, and there's more money coming. So all this staff and everybody deserves a great thank you.
There's money out there. We just got to keep getting it. Yeah. Mr. Blaylock.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow all that. But I agree with everything you said, buddy. You're spot on with that. I was driving by the fire department, Station 3, the last couple of days, and saw the kids out there with the fire department. They were having a great time. They were teaching them about fire prevention, so forth and so on. I got 6 phone calls about that. People noticed it. I didn't realize that people were paying that much attention. It warmed my heart to see that. That was great. Another thing is the splash pad. Great success. I rode down there the other day and watched, and it was just fantastic. And had a great time till they made me leave.
Take a grandchild at work.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Take a child with you next time, Charlie.
And one more thing I will ask you, okay? Please, if you have an issue or a problem and you want me to hear about it, stay on me, okay? I'm getting old and I lose track of things. So don't hesitate to call me back again and again and again. That's right, Betty, don't hesitate. Thank you all very much. I love working here.
No, it's well said, Jeff, and I don't have any report, Madam Mayor.
The only thing I have to say is if you have not visited our new pier and you've not visited the splash pad, you're missing it. I actually do have a grandchild that I went and got last weekend all the way in Leland to come spend the weekend with me so I could go play at the splash pad and didn't look ridiculous. So I did have a little 6-year-old with me when I was out playing.
Councilman Black?
I'd just like to take note of the professionalism of all of our employees in uniform and out. And unlike members of the public, we actually have the data which supports that. So there are always going to be concerns, but I can tell you that looking at the numbers, the detail, the number of service tasks that were completed, the number of fire calls, the number of traffic stops, I mean, every measure that we have up here in this booklet, we are improving. So I want to thank the staff. Appreciate that.
All right, well, the mayor has no report this month except to tell my wonderful council what a pleasure it is to work with them, and we keep Oak Island moving forward and keep the vibe alive. All right, that's it. Council regular meeting consent agenda. I'd like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please. Thank you. Committee appointments. Oak Island Environmental Advisory Committee, there's 3 terms ending in June 2022. And the first name is Maureen Burns. Show of hands. The second is Margaret Johnson. And the third is Michael Pratt. And I believe all these people are returning to that board. Thank you for those that applied, that submitted their commitment to rejoin. Administrative report, town manager, Dan.
I believe Councilman Wynkoff pretty much said most of the things over
You steal your thunder?
July 2nd, I reckon we're going to have some free fishing. July 1st, we do have the fireworks this year for the 20th year. We do also have a band that'll be playing starting at 7 o'clock, be on the pier. And then they will step down for the fireworks, and then they'll come back up and play about 30 minutes after the fireworks is completed.
Awesome.
They're the McGuire sisters. They're the ones who opened up our concert in the park every year. So they'll be back again with that. A few other things by the amphitheater. The metal roof is coming. They got everything measured after it was built. Everything's ordered, and it should be coming in here in the next week or so, so that'll be finished. The bathrooms that were rebuilt, they're about 90%. They got a little bit of electrical and plumbing left to do. We're going to have the bathrooms opened up. We probably will leave the porta-johns for a while because the crowd that is there. I think we'll need some extra bathrooms. And you've noticed that we've moving the sort of the food trucks and everything to behind the stage instead of out there on the main road. We did that for traffic congestion. So as that grows, we may be moving some more things around Middleton Park to try to accommodate. 10th Street ADA access, everything is still on go for it. It will be a project that will be happening now. And then, as you asked about, I was going to tell you about the 20th Street, but you've already asked that question about that. And the staff is working on that and is in the budget for y'all to approve tonight.
Awesome.
Other than that, everything's normal.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. You did a great job. Mr. Eves, do you have
A few things to discuss in closed session, Madam Mayor, but
We have one thing under old business, and that's the calendar for the council.
Yes, Madam Mayor. When we did our original calendar, I don't know what threw it off, but we usually try to have 4 town hall meetings a year. We should have one in July, and the other one should be in October, not September. And I'd like to change our calendar to reflect that we will have a town hall meeting in July, and then switch to one from September to October.
Through October?
I need a,
And that will make January starting with the third one next year?
Yeah.
Correct. Got you.
we need
Is that date
make a
on-
motion,
October.
I make a motion to adopt the
Can everybody
amended.
check their calendar real quick? Is there any major reason we can't change to the meeting in?
Yeah, it's a regular meeting.
It's
night.
regular
Regular meeting night.
Yeah.
We're not changing the dates.
Special
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. We're just moving in. Okay.
I make a motion to amend the calendar.
Second.
All in favor? All right. It's done.
So July will be a town hall style meeting.
Yes. It's our favorite, where we can interact with the public. Let's see where we're at. New business.
We're going to have a public hearing before the meeting starts.
Do we want to save the budget for last, or and move up the other two that are fairly quick? Or do you want to do the budget now and then do the other two? Council's pleasure.
Oh, let's go ahead.
All right, let's do the budget. Consideration, adopting the proposed budget for 2019-20 or budget ordinance, including the setting of an ad valorem tax rate, adopting the 2019 budget fee, and adopting the pay classification scale. Who would like to start this discussion?
I'll start. Oh, go ahead. You want to start, you can.
Well, may I add, how many workshops have we had that was open to the public? I mean, everything's open to the public. 4? Okay.
You gonna let me start?
You want to
Start.
start?
Let's let Madam Bell
Absolutely.
start. Ladies first.
No, ma'am. You have the floor.
In light of the new assessments that went out, I do agree that we need to drop the tax rate. I would like to do .2415 for the ad valorem tax with 4 cents for the sand tax, dropping the rate from 31 cents to 28. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's Scotty's turn next.
Oh, Scotty gets to go next?
Comment?
Under the circumstances and what we're facing, I agree with Councilwoman Bell, 28 cents.
So this is actually the tax rate we are dropping to what, and then the sand tax will be what? Would you divide it out?
Dropping it from the total of 31 to 28 with 2.2415 ad valorem and 4 cent sand.
So that's putting 2 more cent into the sand fund.
Correct. But dropping the tax rate to 28, which will be a little less than 4. Right?
Councilman Wykoff? Oh, Councilman Blaylock. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Just not my night, is it? I agree with, it took me some while to get through the whole thing, and now I understand it, so, and I,
Drew you some nice pictures.
I know you did, and I agree, good idea.
I say the revenue neutral at 24.15 and then keep our 2 cent that we have to make it 26, because I don't think the 2 cents they're wanting to add to it will make a hill of beans. We have money in the bank that we have put in there and saved up for events like Hurricane Florence, and we have not used that money yet. We've used our beach money to pay the engineer for the extra work he's done. The money needs to come out of our funds we have and keep taxes low, because you're looking at raising 6 cents with the county and the town, and you're going to run people off this town. So I will not vote for anything more than that 26 cents.
So you're at 26 and we're talking 28.
Well, thank you. First of all, we've had a month worth of meetings on the budget. Management has sent a budget to us, which at least initially we said, yeah, this makes sense. We need to make additional investments in capital, in personnel, et cetera, et cetera. Suddenly, we have tax fever. Understandably so, but we continue to avoid the big decision, which is coming when beach renourishment as a major project arrives. And regardless of what money we have in the budget now, we're going to need more if we're really going to save the beach and revitalize our economy. So as a backdrop, I can live with 28 cents, and I think increasing the sand tax is a step forward. I do agree with Councilman Wykoff that we've contracted engineering services. We need to pay for those out of a budget and stop taking it out of surplus. That makes no sense to me from an accounting perspective. So I can live with 28%.
All right. Anything else in the budget you'd like to discuss? And then we'll. Okay.
Y'all will not vote for it.
Anybody like to make a motion to pass the budget as it's presented?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to drop the tax rate from 31 cents to 28, with .2415 going toward ad valorem, and the balance in the sand tax. My biggest fear is that if we were to have more than one storm, you know how long it takes us to get that money back.
2 cent won't make a hill of beans.
It'll make a difference when we get ready to do assessments or have to raise the tax to do beach renourishment, if that's what we end up doing.
Yeah.
That's my formal motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right.
All opposed?
All opposed? So David, what budget we have in front of us now, how do we can we pass that with the condition that you
Yes, ma'am.
figure it?
The only thing we'll change is in the fee schedule. It'll reflect the numbers that y'all gave us tonight to put in there. So that change will be, it'll be the 2415 per 100, and then the 385 per 100 will get us to the 28.
Okay.
So it'll be a little less than 4%, 4 cents on the,
385.
which we're already doing too, correct?
Was that? Yeah, 385.
I'm sorry, Dave.
And the
Yeah, zero, yeah.
.2415 was what the budget,
Yes, 2415.
I did it right.
Any more discussion on anything topic or anything in the budget before we?
You can take more action.
Hmm?
At this
Well,
point,
the fee
at this
schedule-
point, you've only set a tax rate. You haven't actually formally adopted the budget ordinance or the fee schedule or the pay classification scale.
That's what I was saying, the fee schedule will reflect what your motion was, but that needs still to be adopted.
Okay.
So, recommended motion is on page 82.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget ordinance when it includes an ad valorem tax rate of 28 cents per 100 of valuation, with 4.85 cents of that being
3.8.
3.85 cents of that to be transferred to the sand fund to approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 fee schedule, including the sewer district fee and utility rates, and to adopt the pay classification scale.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
We love you.
All right.
made up my
We've
mind
passed the
about
budget. Number 2, consideration of a request to release interest on a sewer assessment. 83, David, who do we need to talk to about that one?
I think Sheila.
I do want to say one thing if I can. I had additional communication from Mr. Mayhorn, who's asking for the sewer assessment interest to be released, and he just wanted to clarify that his statement is that he is a junior partner with others that own the property as well. I provided the first page of the deed, which shows what it shows, but I did say that I would pass that information along to you.
Based on the summary by Katie and our staff, there have been times where there were releases of sewer interest. Normally it is because the original owner was a different owner than when they started to do garnishment or attachment. This seems that it was billed in 2010. This gentleman was the owner at that time. I think there were several owners. The addresses that were shown to be billed in 2010 are still the addresses that are the taxes are being sent to now. My recommendation is to not consider the request to release the interest.
Any discussion?
I concur. No.
Would anybody like to make a motion? Motion? We need a motion to,
Do we need a motion?
I would think we do need
Madam
not to,
Mayor, I'd like
yeah.
We're not taking action. Mr. Eads
No,
says
it's a
no.
request, and if you don't take action, then the
Oh,
request
okay,
isn't
so we don't really need a motion. Okay. Any more discussion? Anybody want to talk about it? All right, very good. Beach weddings, discussion about the beach weddings. This came up, I think probably I asked this to be on the council agenda for discussion with the council. We've gotten, and I think the other members of the council also got the letter from our, from Skip, who's our beach ambassador captain. I'm not sure what his official title is. But in the past, and this has come before us before, and I think it got buried under all that's been going on, we have people that come and we don't have anyone that, we don't have a fee for a wedding on the beach, and do we even do a registry that they have to sign up? We have no way of knowing. And they're using things that are harmful to the environment. And there are no tools in the toolbox for any of the beach ambassadors to say, no, you can't throw rice, you can't throw plastic flower petals and things that are seriously very harmful. And when we've looked at other beach towns that do have weddings, which all of them do, you can't, it's public sand. They do have some restrictions where you have to register, whether you pay a fee or whether you don't, and they do have rules. And I think all the ones that I've researched included rules on what you could and could not throw during the wedding. So I'm thinking that we need to, if the council concession will concede to this and make it a consensus, we can instruct staff to bring us back some sort of a ordinance. It needs to be in an ordinance form so we can enforce it and protect our beaches a little bit better. So
I agree.
Everybody okay with that? Okay, David, will you take care of that with Jake? Okay, thank you. All right, this time I'll call for a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to go into closed session to consult with the town attorney on pending litigation pursuant to NCGS 143-15-11-3.
Second, please.
Have to be recorded.
All in favor?
But it needs to be closed.
Thank you. The meeting, those things were put in my box and they had names on it.
He's got the other home plate.
Okay.
Courageous vote you took.
Okay.
You gotta let them know.
At this time, I'll call the Oak Island meeting back to order.
Go.
And I'd like to also state that there was no action taken in closed session. And I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Good evening. Thank you.